Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it rain. Tonight we're gonna let it rain. Tonight we're gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it rain. Tonight we're gonna let it rain. Tonight we're gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it rain.
As some of you know, when I started the legal part of my transition, I discovered something very peculiar. I couldn't update my sex marker because I was already assigned female from birth. My entry in the federal database had never been modified. That led me on a journey that explained a lot of things about my body that never quite made sense. To make a long story a little shorter, I eventually found out I was born intersex. There are a lot of known intersex conditions, but in my case, I happen to be twins that fused in the womb. About half of my cells are XX and half are XY. People like me are estimated to make up about 10% of the human population, though somewhat fewer who have mixed sex chromosomes. I can't find much information about what was done while I was an infant. Apparently, even my parents weren't consulted. I do know that my body was altered, and at least some parts are artificial. I won't say which, because being graphic doesn't help make my point, and it's also nobody's business. Now, most reasonable people would agree that as an intersex person, I should have the right to determine which direction my ambiguous body should go, if I choose any direction at all, because there is nothing wrong with simply being intersex. You might say that's how God made us. People might say that because of that, I'm not transgender. I'm actually undoing what was done to me as a child before I had a chance to say what was best for me. But here's the thing. We know humans are sexually dimorphic in ways that go beyond reproductive organs. That's the whole thing with sports and fairness, right? Biological advantages and all that noise. We also know there are sexual differences in the brain. The differences are often slight, but there are identifiable ranges in all kinds of things, from certain regions of different size to certain tissues that behave in different ways, and lots of other things. We know of a few dozen such differences so far. Now, we also know that trans people's brains typically line up best with the brains of the sex they feel attuned with. Even before HRT, no treatment at all, a trans woman's brain looks more like a cis woman's than a male's. A trans man's brain tends to look more male than female. So, bearing in mind that sexual differences do occur in the body far beyond the reproductive organs, understanding that sexual characteristics can be identified in the brain and the brains and bodies of trans people demonstrate a mixture of sexual characteristics, then it becomes obvious to suggest that trans people might just be a different flavor of intersex. And if intersex people have every right to determine which gender, if any, fits us best, then the obvious conclusion is that trans people sure as hell do too. Finally, to be absolutely clear, I am intersex by genotype, but I am also a trans person because the life I was forced into caused suffering, and I need the same trans healthcare for the same reason as other trans people to live my life the way I need to. That's what I need, but that doesn't mean that's what every trans person needs. I have always said and will continue to say, there is no bar you have to clear or gate you have to pass to be trans. The medical tools are there for you to help you have a better, healthier, happier life. They are not a requirement you have to check off to qualify as legitimate. From breast removal to genital reconstruction to hair transplants, it's exactly the same healthcare cis people use to affirm their genders, and we all deserve access to it for the same reasons. Thank you for joining me today. Now let's learn about intersex stuff. Hello, folks. Happy Thursday. I am joined today by AJ, who knows a whole bunch about brains, and Miss Kelly King, the Queen of Detroit.
I want to first say thank you for that video, and
Oh,
I thank you for you being open and sharing that with us. That was very important.
I thought so myself. That's why I wanted to record it in a piece right at the beginning so I don't flub up words trying to do it live or whatever. And it's right there so that if people watching later or watching after or whatever the case may be, it's right in the front. They don't have to look for it. And if they turn off after 5 minutes, they still got that key message. Yeah. So, being open about being intersex is not an easy thing. It's not as hard as being open about being trans because there isn't much active hate directed in our general direction. In fact, quite a lot of the regressives tend to use intersex people as a weapon against trans people because, of course, they do. It's difficult. It's a complicated situation, and there's endless numbers of people demanding that you justify your existence. You know, well, if you have this biology, then you're this, regardless of what you think and what the doctors say. I have decided that, you know, if you have this body part, you are a this. And it's not just frustrating, it's stupid. It's very stupid. It's the promotion of stupidity, and it hurts everyone because ultimately the main reason the bigots even care is so they can run around policing other people's bodies. You look too much like a man. You look like a girl. all that kinds of bullshit. Be who you are. Fuck them haters.
Couldn't say it better myself.
Well said.
I'm not, when it comes to scientific stuff, I don't know everything. However, I can't say what somebody else is going through. Even I know now more than what I've ever known, but I have a non-binary child, and even though I was a Christian when they were going through it, I still could empathize with them. I shouldn't say that word because that's a bad word now.
Bad. Empathy's bad.
Well, we're sinners here. It's
I
fine.
used to empathize with people who wasn't the same. And isn't that what makes everything special? Because everybody's different, nobody's the same. You know, I don't want to meet the same boring people.
That's right.
I like to know
Diversity.
people intersex and bisexual and gay and asexual and trans and religious and unreligious. I just I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
It's so wild. Like we're taught when we're very, very little that everyone is different, and that's wonderful. That's one of the great things about life is there's so much variety, and it makes us so much stronger to have a diversity of perspectives and ideas and interpretations and experiences and background knowledge and all the things. Like no one person can know everything that Dr. Kip knows and everything Adrian Adair knows. You know, like we need to be able to be different to be successful as a species and have things be better for everyone, the best world we can possibly build. And then there's these assholes running around saying, no, everyone has to be exactly the same because my magic fucking book said so. Yikes.
How many times do we have to debunk what's in that book and people to still believe that it's true?
2,000 years later, we're still in the same spot.
I mean, it's
At
one of
this
those
point,
things. It's one of those things that's ridiculous to me about having to debunk stuff in the Bible. Is like we literally have empirical proof that that story is not true. And
as
what
we covered yesterday, the fucking book debunks itself. But that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question for you,
Yes.
Ember. Okay, based on the video that you made, because I've made a video about the topic of how sort of like the intersection of transgender and intersex people, and not to say that they were the same, sort of like where they meet at and how one can help explain the other. So are there? But I'm not super familiar with like a real intersex condition. So are there any intersex conditions where there isn't like a very physical, visible, features that you can tell from the outside that the child is intersex? Is it like you said, there's brain differences and hormone differences and genetic differences and internal reproductive organ differences that you cannot see from the outside. So how does that?
Oh yes, there's quite a lot. A huge number of people. A very common one that you're inclined to run across is androgen insensitivity or partial androgen insensitivity. And there's a few other different variants that run along similar lines. But TLDR is a person develops phenotypically female, but has XY chromosomes, internal testes, and produces testosterone. Their body just doesn't respond to the testosterone, so they develop along a female pattern. And I mean, it's a mixture of sex characteristics, so it is intersex. And it's so fun because you've got so many haters who will say, well, you have a vagina, no penis, so you are a woman, period, full stop. And then you've got other haters that are like, you have XY chromosomes and produce testosterone, so you are a man, full stop. And it's like, this is an obvious nuance. It's not just one. These people's doctors can't treat them as just one. They will kill them if they try.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy. And you end up with bigots saying that either women have XY chromosomes or men have vaginas by trying to be bioessentialist about it, when it's just not a damn binary. And that's just one example. I don't even know how many known intersex conditions. I know of a few, but that's not really my area of specialty. I know about mine because it's what I'm living with, but There's so many. Like, I can't tell you off the top of my head what the difference between Turner syndrome and Swyer syndrome is. I know they are different, but that's not my field. And there's a bunch of other things. I'm trying to get a page to open while I'm talking, which is not easy for me to do. Which I believe I have a list of intersex conditions. Yes, I do. Okay, let me bring up the thing, and I will share the thing. And also, side note, the store is open. I got the store done that we've been
Yay.
talking about the past few shows up here on the website, betterthanumber.com. At the very end, on a full-size window, it shows up. There it is.
Nice.
It's only got the 2 designs that y'all specifically asked for, the "You Are Better Than Religion" sticker, and then I just come here for the tangents, and I realize the irony of the fact this qualifies as a tangent. But it is open, and if people want to see more stuff, let me know. But it does exist, and it should be showing up on YouTube as well once they do it may be there already. I don't know. But YouTube does the YouTube things. Anyway, on the gender site page, down here, we've got intersex science. And first of all, this is an important one. A lot of people try to be respectful and say DSDs, which is disorders of sexual development. Please don't use that term. That is a term applied by people attempting to pathologize us, to say we are a disorder.
Wow.
Intersex people, overwhelmingly, 97% of us have a strong preference to use the term intersex. A person using DSD is almost to the level of being a dog whistle that you believe we're a disorder and need to be eradicated. Almost. Not quite. We won't hate you immediately if you say it. Please try not to say it. Okay, the second thing is a condition of intersex. Intersex conditions list. Holy shit, I can talk. And this is from a group called Interact, which I found out about from an Anthony Padilla video. He does the famous, among other things, he does the famous "I Spent a Day With" videos. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
intersex people. And the very first speaker is like, I discovered about my condition from a group called Interact, which they're advocates for intersex youth, but the resources are accessible by anyone of any age. They're, it's right there. So there's lists of these things. How can you know? 5-alpha reductase, gender insensitivity syndrome, androgen gender insensitivity, the non-binary syndrome, aphilia. There's a bunch, and there's probably more, but there's a bunch. So yeah, if anybody really wants to, that's where you can find that. betterthanumber.com, gender sci, list of intersex conditions.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't want to make today like hyper medical-y, because it's more about intersex people than understanding the science of all the different, because it is an umbrella term. It's a whole bunch of conditions that are very distinct medically, biologically, often genetically, that have to be treated as unique things. It's the social ramifications that makes us all a collective group, because we all get handled in the same way medically and socially, particularly with, let's say, infant surgeries. No, you know what? I'll call it what it is. Infant genital mutilation. The same motherfuckers whining about teenagers sterilizing themselves by having gender-affirming surgeries have no problem cutting the gonads out of a newborn to make them fit their fucking false binary. And I'm a little pissed about that, because it relates a little bit to what happened to me. Now, I was successfully able to have children. I was not sterilized. I do have to put that out there. But I was altered, and I'm big fucking mad about it.
Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was years ago where there was a debauched circumcision, and there was 2 twin boys, and one of the boys, they debauched him, so them turning him into a female, and he knew something was wrong with him because he had like girls, and they called him gay and all that stuff. And in the end, they found out that his parents lied to him that he really was a male. and he ended up committing suicide after that.
That's the
I
Yeah,
remember something like that.
yeah,
It was a
and I think it was a psychologist that worked with him and stuff.
a
That
sexologist named
yes,
John
yeah,
Money.
I can't think what it, but
And
yeah,
he's a big part of the reason why that's still done to intersex kids, because even though that research has been debunked for decades, there are still physicians running around who went to school decades ago, perhaps, who have that idea that gender is whatever you tell the child to be, however you raise them. That whether you take somebody who's fully male at birth and through a screw up on yet another unnecessary genital mutilative procedure and end up, oh, just raise them as a female, they'll never know. They'll know
that's not true
because you
at
can't
all.
change the brain that way. And like I
Yeah.
said in
Not
the
true.
beginning, the things we don't fully understand the brain, there's still a lot to learn about neuroscience, but it seems to be that gender is literally a function of the brain. I can tell you from my own personal experience that once I started to transition and I switched my hormones from a testosterone dominated system to an estrogen dominated system, my brain works a hell of a lot better on the hormones that it was designed for, because this part of my body is entirely XX.
I'm
Yeah,
glad
Fuck.
you're able to do
that
this.
that makes total sense. That will work that way.
Like, it just, my
yeah.
apologies, folks. I'm trying to like stay super professional and I keep getting a little bit worked up.
Hey,
No,
you're
but-
allowed to.
Well, this is your
But that's
show.
fair.
Yeah,
So
this
if
is
you
your
wanna go on a
show, and you're
tangent or
allowed to.
whatever, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be a very traumatic experience growing up and not knowing about all of that until you're like, what, an adult. Do you know Damian Marie at Hope?
I was actually just going to mention him. My
Okay,
next
okay.
thing to say was the reason I found my voice to be able to speak up about this is because of Damian Marie at Hope, who is
Okay.
a very vocal, he calls himself an axiological atheist. And while
Yeah.
he doesn't make a big deal out of being intersex, he does not hide the fact either. He's very, very matter of fact about it. You know, he will outright say, hey, I was born with these genitals and this is what was different and this is how it affected my childhood. And holy shit, I commend, well, literally the balls on that man.
I know, yes. Like I watched like I wasn't familiar with him before until I watched a video that came out recently on another show, and I heard his story, and I was like, wow, like that's horribly traumatic
It
for
moved
someone.
me
Yeah.
a lot because even though some of his experience is very different from mine, a lot of it resonated really, really powerfully. And I'm like, I was literally inspired. I was like, the fact no one ever talks about us is not just a shame. It's kind of a tragedy, because as I do have some videos queued up for today. And in one of them, one of the speakers says, we need to be visible now. We need you to understand we exist now, because the next generation of intersex kids is going to grow up thinking there's something wrong with them, thinking there's no one else like them. They're a freak, they're unlovable, and be shamed by the people around them because people don't know. And that would have
Yeah.
made a huge difference in my life for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So on that note, I do have some videos because again, there's so much to say, and I have a much easier time accessing specific knowledge pathways when I'm stimulated about specific topics. So I thought it might be more productive to go through some videos, and when it brings things up, then I can elaborate on them.
Okay.
So this one, it's a little long. We're probably not going to do the whole thing because there are some other things I definitely want to get to, but it'll give us a good starting point.
All right.
I have a confession to make right off the bat. I don't know what you were doing at 16, but I'm a really big fan of Harry Potter and was waiting way too long to receive my letter inviting me to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
That's a part that didn't age super well, but details.
Could have gone for sixth form. I was also waiting for an invitation to the Jedi Temple or a tap on the shoulder to invite me to the X-Men. I was that kid. When I was 16 years old, I got my wish. I was taken into a doctor's office and told that I am, in fact, part of a group of people who are still largely invisible and misunderstood. I am intersex. That's my superpower. For many of you in this room, it'll be the first.
I feel slightly ripped off by that superpower. It's sort of like Beast from the X-Men, right? Like, first of all, you feel like you look like a freak for most of your life for various reasons. But also, like, yes, you're smart, but not smart to the level it qualifies as a superpower per se. Really, what you've got going on is you're covered in blue fur, and you have to deal with that. It's like, damn it, why can't I teleport or, telekinetically move shit around? That would
Be nice.
or the healing factor. Although, can you imagine if you needed your appendix out, but you had Wolverine's healing factor and the damn thing just kept growing back?
That would
I'm
be
bursting. Growing back and bursting again.
Oh, well, I mean, I suppose if you had the healing factor, it wouldn't matter if it burst because it would just heal.
Okay, that's true. Fair enough.
Detail.
Can't take this.
First time you've even heard the word intersex. Intersex is anatomy. It refers to people who are born with one or more of a variation of sex characteristics. That's your genitals, your hormones, your chromosomes, that fall outside of the traditional conceptions of male and female bodies.
I want to add another note. I mean, this is before the brain stuff started. It's still not super well known, but it was before Robert Sapolsky, I think, was talking about it, but he wasn't well known outside of neurology circles. It was before Joanne Roughgarden's book. It was she had no reason to know about the brain component of it. But also, hormones alone can do the trick, right? They can make you qualify. And since trans people who use HRT, because not every trans person does, but trans people who do are hormonally the other system, then they're intersex. Even if they're not born that way, they're intersex now, damn it.
In other words, the most basic assumption we've made about our species, what we're taught in schools, that sex is binary, just male and female, is not correct. Like most things in this world, it is much more complicated than that. Intersex.
Literally everything in nature is a spectrum. Everything. Despite what certain famous asshole biologists have to say, there aren't exceptions.
People who fall outside of this false sex binary have always existed throughout human history. Like the wizards of Harry Potter, we are pretty much invisible. Some of us don't even know that we are intersex.
And that's an excellent point, too. While a lot of intersex people get identified at birth, the rate is something like 1 per 1,700 births or something have obviously ambiguous genitalia. However, as many as 2% of newborns have anomalous genitalia. And we may get into that more later. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of cis people get unnecessary genital surgery for reasons having to do with forcing them into this binary. It's infuriating, but fuck, that's a whole thing. But also, when you factor in genetic conditions or hormonal conditions like androgen insensitivity, then a lot of people don't find out until much, much later. I didn't find out until my fucking 40s. Although I did have questions about the anomalies about my body that I mentioned from when I was younger, I didn't know for sure until I actually got tested. And a lot of kids get to their teens and they don't have a period or they don't grow a beard or whatever. And they go to the doctor thinking there's something wrong with them. And then the doctors run tests and say, oh, hey, you've got a thing going on. And then sometimes there's more unnecessary surgeries at that point. Now, okay, in fairness, in a lot of cases with people with internal testes, sometimes they have a thing called gonadal streaks, where they're not actually fully developed gonads, they're just tissue. And those have a very high rate of turning cancerous and should be removed preventatively, according to the medical literature. But very often, that's not actually the case. That's what's put on the chart for insurance purposes. But they actually have normally functioning organs that are removed without need.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before. Not just with gender stuff, but whether the doctors will just put a different name to it so they can do the procedure.
Yeah, and it's surprisingly common when you're aware of how many different ways a person could be intersex. Like this speaker here, if you met her on the street, you would never think she's an intersex person. Not 1 in 1,000 chance. So while many of these speakers and many other people mentioned that being intersex with the known and identified conditions is at least as common as people with red hair, I would say considerably higher, considering, like I said in the video at the very, very beginning, my condition affects up to 10% of the human population. And while the amount of people with mixed sex chromosomes is lower, a simple Punnett square will tell you it's between 25 and 50% of those. And so that's between 2.5 to 5% of people, not counting all the other intersex conditions. So we may make up a significant percentage of the population. But how many there are is not nearly as important as how people treat us. Because a lot of people, like our speaker, never tell anyone because of how they're likely to be treated.
Okay.
Like the X-Men, some of our traits are obvious at birth, and others turn up around the time when puberty is supposed to kick in. When we find out we are intersex, some of us believe we are the only ones in the world. Me specifically, I have XY chromosomes, which you may have understood to be typically male. I was also born with gonads instead of ovaries. Standing here on this stage would have been my worst nightmare only 5 years ago. It would have been impossible. I use the metaphor of the superhuman, but really, we are just like you. Intersex people are thought to make up to 1.7% of the population. That means more depending on where you are in the world, but you get the picture. We are in front of you getting coffee. We are sat next to you on the train. We are swiping you left and right on dating apps. So why haven't you heard of us?
And that's the question. That's why so
Yeah.
many people...
I mean, it's like, I can even see if what they should do is have comprehensive sex ed in all schools, but if they did that, they need to have like a section about this too, that sex is not necessarily a binary. Because
Well, it is
Yeah.
in schools. It's usually taught like a very, very basic level, and you don't
Yeah.
really learn about it until like college.
Yeah,
But
like
they
you
need-
wouldn't learn. Yeah, like I didn't learn most of this stuff until I was already in college and I was in biology. But even then, it's like just having it simply say as fact, hey, these people exist. Sex is not always a straight binary. It can be for most people. Most people tend to be male or female sex wise. But there's a lot of people that aren't, because even if you take something like 1% of the population, that's still a huge ass number of people. And it's one of those things that it's like the education on it goes much, much further the earlier people know about it, and it's just, it really disheartens me that this is never brought up before like college, as far as I can tell.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's because while our public education system is ostensibly to educate, it's also to indoctrinate. It's a cultural thing.
Very
It's why
true.
in the US particularly, where you're supposed to stand and swear your allegiance to a piece of cloth every morning. Only 2 countries in the world do that, the US and North Korea, and for the same reason. There's a huge amount of invisible indoctrination, and the way sex is presented is part of that. It's part of the culture. Man good, woman weak. And in order to enshrine that, to preserve that cultural nonsense, the patriarchy literally is to pretend there are no exceptions. The truth is, it's not a matter of there's men, women, and stuff in between. It's the whole damn thing is a range, and everyone is somewhere on it. Some people cluster in a bit of a bell curve near the male side, and some people cluster near the female side, but there are people all the way in between.
Yeah.
And everyone in those bell curves is either a little more or a little less in different ways, because it's a cluster of characteristics. It's not just your genitals, your genes, your hormones, your brain configuration. It's all those things and others. There's things you present that are emergent properties, like your ability to grow a beard. If you could be an XY male full of testosterone and all the normal things, and if your beard grows in a little scrubbly, people might call you girly. It's a range. There is no hard wall. This is the maleness area. It's arbitrarily made up. The whole thing is a damn spectrum.
But that
If you
applies
can
to
be,
that applies to pretty much anything else that in human characteristics, like hair color. You don't have just black hair and blonde hair, right? Or you don't have just blue eyes and brown eyes. So you don't have just, I don't know, 4 feet versus 6 feet. Like those in between, all over all of those different characteristics. So like, why wouldn't biological sex be the same?
right. And I'll go back to the website here, underneath the intersex stuff. And yes, I see Titan posting about parthenogenic chimeras. I've got a couple of papers about that because I got into a dispute with a certain very famous pro-science person about whether parthenogenesis was possible in humans. It turns out we were both half correct, but that's neither here.
Okay.
In any case, big old and this is because it's a chart, it's simplified, but we've got male, intersex, female. They, again, not dedicated categories. The whole thing is a range. It's what I'm trying to illustrate, but charts are limited. And that has to do with your genitals, your secondary sex characteristics, your hormones, your gametes, your brain structure, your psychology, sociology, legal status, chromosomes, and more. And then after that, you've got identity, which very simply is who you are. And you can, in our culture, many cultures have different ideas, but in our culture, you can identify as a man, a woman, or non-binary. And when we say identify, we don't mean you pick. It means use the term to express your identity. When you say your name, I am Ember, I am identifying myself to you. That's what identify means in this context. And then there's expression. You can be masculine, non-binary, or femme. This is how you have tomboys. You can have a person who is female, who identifies as a woman, but expresses herself masculinely. That is what a tomboy is. You can do that. And you can do any fucking combination of those you want to. Those are just signals to tell others how they should treat you or interact with you. Clothing, pronouns, all sorts of things, body language. And then there's the roles, the things that you do in your life, and these are much more vague. They're abstract concepts that aren't well defined even within the context of culture. The best I could come up with when I was making this chart is the general gist of the idea of being a protector versus nurturer to create another spectrum, because most people are somewhere on that too. Nobody is, I will not nurture, only protect. It never happens. But that has
And
to
there's
do.
some people that have to do all of both.
Yes, I've for sure been there. but that has to do with like the job you do, the interests you have, your kind of relationships, behavioral expectations, all that stuff. And all of it, the whole damn thing, are bimodal spectra. It's not one bimodal spectrum, it's several, all stacked on top of each other. Because there is no absolute maleness, absolute manliness, absolute femaleness, etc. Everyone is somewhere on that curve. And intersex people, at least at the biological level, fall somewhere in that in between. That's what that is.
Okay, now my question before we go back, as and it's kind of hard because many times, if the parent of an intersex child, and you think that you're doing right by going by the advice of the doctor who might tell you wrong things, but how, maybe not answer right now, maybe later on, but what should a parent do if they're faced with having an intersex child? Should they just leave them, let the child make the decision when they get older about what to do? You know,
Yes.
That
Okay.
seems like the
Yes.
most reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is one intersex condition, and I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but there is one that requires medical intervention immediately after birth
Okay.
because there's a very high risk of mortality. But
I got you.
everything
Okay.
everything else is entirely fucking cosmetic.
Yeah.
And you
Okay.
can wait until the child can say, holy shit. However, that being said, in many cases, the parents don't even know. The doctors just go ahead and do it.
Oh
And
wow, that's even worse.
and I mean, I can't say for sure because I don't have memories going back that far. And I can't find records. I can't get my hands on medical records from when I was born. And my parents aren't exactly super trustworthy. But according to them, they didn't know there was anything odd about my birth.
Hmm.
Okay.
All right, we'll believe that. Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's true, then I was operated on without even my parents' consent.
But
I mean, that's like
okay,
asking for a lawsuit.
yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
not saying that parents wouldn't necessarily know, but having had a baby with several surgeries, you would imagine that there's a recovery aftercare. That I mean, maybe they were lied about what was done. Maybe they were like, it was a minor. There was something that we needed to remove, whatever, and they don't really specify what it was or why it was. So yeah, I guess some parents could be easier to make believe a story that made up by the doctors if they wanted to cover up for themselves.
Yeah, it varies. I mean, sometimes you end up with scars that the parents may or may not catch, but often the scars don't grow at the same rate as the rest of the tissue, and you end up with tearing, and then there's more surgeries. And also, many of the surgeries have a fairly high failure rate. Some of them as low as 4%, but some of them as high as 67%. And that
Wow.
means a shit ton of follow-up surgeries to
No
repair
kidding.
the damage of the surgery. And sometimes follow-ups on those because they don't always go well. It's a huge mess that's completely fucking unnecessary most of the time.
If we are so common, why don't you see us? How has the world responded to us? We often think of disciplines like medicine and the law as supposedly neutral, immune to bias. The law is reason-free from passion. The doctor's Hippocratic oath states that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's pill. In truth, these disciplines that touch our lives are impressive, but they are filled with our prejudices. They are not immune, just as we are not immune to the effects of that prejudice, which can be devastating.
And yeah, there's a lot to be said there. Not to steal the speaker's thunder, but there's a lot of things that aren't available to intersex people. And I mean, if you don't know, then you just go about your life assuming you are who you're told you are. And then you get to play, you get to participate. But it's there's a lot of overlap with some of the bullshit that people have to deal with for being trans. Like, for example, my ears, as I've mentioned before, I've been to 6 doctors. They refuse to treat me as soon as they hear I'm a trans person. And while that
That's
comes
scary.
up readily, because always, the first question they ask is, are you on any medications? So they know I have to take Spiro and estradiol and so forth. And not everyone who takes those is trans, but put that together with how I look, and it's pretty obvious what's going on. And so I can't hide that. But it's the same sort of situation. If I didn't identify as trans and I were just an intersex person trying to fix what was done to me as a child, like I mentioned in the very beginning, I'd be in exactly the same situation, and they'd still draw those conclusions. And while it's absolutely not okay to discriminate against trans people, a lot of intersex people face the discrimination because there's overlap. It isn't the whole thing, but that's just the overlapping area. I mean, there's so much from being harassed in locker rooms if somebody catches sight of your body looking a little different, or in job situations. You know, there's certain things that you can or can't do because of the nature of your body. It has to do with more than you might think. But if you think about your own life and how many times your gender or even your anatomy plays a role in what you do every day, it's like that, but it's also more complicated. Oof.
I'm a little slow and a little stupid in some aspects, but what in the hell, excuse my language, do your ears have to do with anything about you being trans? I mean, that really
Right.
that really irritates me. I just don't understand. You are a doctor, and your morally thing should be to treat somebody.
Well, that's the whole thing, and that's one of the reasons that conservatives are pushing so hard for laws where people can refuse service to people based on their own convictions, as long as they can say, "Oh, it's my religious beliefs." Because, you know, the Bible doesn't say anything about that. No religious book says anything about that, but whatever. They want the ability to say, "You're a freak and you should go die," without having to say those words.
And how moral
Like,
is that?
it's so fucked up. I had a similar situation with my dental care, right? Like, my prosthetic doesn't fit because my dentist did the minimum necessary to ensure I wouldn't die, and then canceled my follow-up appointments and refused to set new ones. Like, they didn't outright say it's because you're a trans person, but they did it. And it's like that with so many other things in life. Like, there many of you know about the work situation, and I'm not going to get
Yeah.
into that now because
Yeah.
it's a long fucking detour, but I can't get a lawyer to even return my damn calls. I think 3 lawyers so far who I've talked to, all by email, by the way, they were like, "Oh, sure, we can take your case. We're bar certified in New York, etc." And then when we get on the phone and I'm telling them my story, as soon as the word transgender comes up, like as soon as I mention it, they're like, "Oh shit, you're in New York? I'm sorry, I'm not actually licensed to practice in New York. Best of luck though."
Even though they just told you.
Like, they don't
Now,
actually say that's why, but the fact they all
of course,
do
they
it
can't
at
tell you the
that
truth because
point
that
of
would
the
be
Yeah.
conversation
discrimination
is
itself.
kind of revealing. And it's not like this is new. This is exactly how people treated gay people in the 90s. This is
Yeah,
exactly
I was just about to say
how
that.
treated Black people still do today in some parts of the country. This is exactly how Jewish people were treated in the 1920s. This is exactly how Chinese people and Irish people and Italian people and so many other groups have been treated across this country's history. You don't have to say, I disapprove of what kind of human you are. You just shut your doors, turn off the lights, and pretend nobody's home.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite movies was Philadelphia. Had Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington, and it was about a gay man that had AIDS, and he had work discrimination where they fired him, and it took so many attorneys would not take his case, and eventually the case was taken by Denzel Washington, who was a bigot, I'll say, in the movie, but he took it because he needed the money, and it really showed you how people are. And he ended up winning the case in the end of the movie. But yeah, that movie I resonated with me, especially talking about your story. And it's sad that this still goes on, and which about 40 years ago later,
Mm-hmm.
some things are never going to change.
Oh yeah, there's still cities where being a Black person you can't catch a taxi. Like everyone
Yeah,
around you will get a taxi, but one won't come for you. And the pro-capitalist people, the pro-patriarchy people are all like, well, I mean, they want to make money, right? They're going to care about that more than the fact that you're a Black person. Except they don't stop for you. They don't care about the money as much as being bigots.
yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm trying to see. It
Similarly,
was an actor,
misinterpretation
maybe
says
Sam Jackson, that he tried to get transportation and he couldn't get it, and they wouldn't pick him up. And he's a renowned actor, and I believe it was him, but it was Sam Jackson. They would not pick him up.
it's possible.
Yeah, I believe it was him, but it was some famous Black actor who talked about how the Uber or the cab passed them. Several of them passed them up, but would not pick them up. That's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely happens. Misinterpretation says Ember ACLU, Freedom from Religion Foundation. Um, appreciate the suggestion. However, Freedom from Religion Foundation is focused mostly on religious stuff, and that doesn't seem to be the case in my case. At least it didn't come up where I heard it. ACLU. So I'm not going to name names, but I did reach out to virtually every organization you can possibly think of, and many of them focused specifically on civil liberties, and some of them are a bit more specialized into LGBT issues or even specifically trans people issues. And the few who bothered to even get back to me, including some, and again, I'm not going to name any specific organizations that have to do with civil liberties, told me point blank, your case will not get us the national headlines that we need to raise donations. So it doesn't serve our interests to take your case. Now,
Wow.
points on them for actually answering,
Holy crap.
but all this business, all this marketing about, oh, these organizations are here for you if you need them. It's propaganda too. They may be classified as not for profit, but they're there to make money, to pay their employees or pursue whatever agenda they have, whatever the case may be. They're still in it for money, even if they're classified as a nonprofit. And if you aren't what they perceive to be a moneymaker, they're not there for you. They're only there for the headlines. You're just the prop to get them. And that pisses me off a little bit too.
This is unrelated, but a few years ago now, I had the police unlawfully enter my home for a raid. I'm innocent and everything, and nobody wanted to take my case. Well, how did they know that it wasn't any problems there? I said, I'm a person that goes to work every day. They went to get another house, got my house instead, and nobody wanted to take my case. I left it alone now, because I've moved on. I moved from the area. I don't live over there anymore. But yeah, it happens a lot where people don't get representation because it doesn't fit the narrative of what they want.
Yeah, it happens with all of the minorities.
Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, it's happened as long as it's been, pretty much as long as the world's been around. Is the minorities are always thrown under the bus for every conceivable reason. And it's just like we need to get that crap to stop. It's so
I
stupid.
wish
When
that we
the
could all get together.
yeah, when the fires were going in California a couple of months ago, I'm pretty sure it might have been Charlie Kirk that said that they should stop using sign language on TV because it was distracting. Like, imagine
Wow.
how many deaf people could die from not being able to have
Yeah.
their needs, their emergency needs communicated to them. And not everybody has the access to captions, or it's like oh, so
Yeah,
I just wish
it's
we can
painful
get
to
all
be into.
together and all the allies and get together and leave all those other racist and bigot people and let them go by themselves.
Well,
I really
you're
wish I could
touching
do
on
that.
another
We can all
you're
get
touching on
together.
another
That's a whole nother
important point.
tangent, but
Um,
yeah, I really wish we could get together and just live in harmony.
I mean,
Mhm.
ideally, but for the time being, representation helps more than just the people in the affected group. It helps every other group too, because so Misinterpretations had Dr. J. Bundy on
Yeah,
her show
great
this week.
episode.
It was phenomenal. And one of the things that Dr. Bundy said really resonated with me. He said, he's a black man. He
Yes.
can't hide being black. And while it sucks the way he gets treated by society sometimes, he takes inspiration. And I'm going to mangle that. I'm not a quote person. I'm
Yeah.
just paraphrasing. But he says he takes inspiration from the LGBT people, all of the LGBT people, because we could stealth. We could pretend we're normal cis people, whatever. The fact that we know we're going to get hated on and stand up and say this isn't right anyway, he says he respects very much, and we can all take some inspiration from that, because there are people like me who are standing up and saying this shit isn't right, and it isn't right for any of us for the same reason. We can all stand up for each other. Intersex people, trans people, lesbians, gays, all the other gender and sexual minorities, every race, every culture, every language, even every religion. Because despite how worked up I get about the harms of religion, I don't think religious people should be discriminated against either. I think everyone should have human rights because we're all fucking humans.
we completely agree.
Agreed.
Misinterpretation said amen.
Yeah, there I go preaching again. Can you tell I'm a minister?
The sad thing about it is that so many people think that if you give everybody equal rights or something like that, you're taking away from theirs,
Yeah,
which is a
right.
stupid way to think. But how is that for everybody to be equal? Would that take away your rights to make you less than? It does not. Just like I had somebody was a post and somebody talking about, I'm tired of them talking about Black Lives Matter. Everybody lives matter.
Who said they don't? But you know who does have something to say?
Yes.
Not my smoothest transition, but yes, super chat for my unfinished song. Thank you so much for 222, and he says, "Hail Ember, DAQ, Detroit Atheist
Me?
Queen." Okay, AJ
Oh, okay.
Lilith and intersex superpowers. Oh my. Simply existing is a superpower. I mean, in a way, I've often said that being alive is itself kind of a miracle, right? We're big old piles
Yeah,
of
it
matter
really
and
is.
water. We're mud. We're just a mishmash of the detritus of the earth. and yet we can move around and have self-awareness and see rainbows and make decisions and write poetry. It's fucking magic.
All that while flying on a rock through space.
Yes.
Another thing I want to mention, the videos that you use, can you please link them? Because this video we're watching now, I do want to watch that whole video. It's very interesting to me.
I don't really save links because I download the video, because playing on the internet while
Well,
I'm
maybe you
live
can put
doesn't
it
work
in
well.
our Discord chat or something.
Maybe? I don't know.
Okay, I would like to watch it. Or let me know where to get the video, because I find the video very, very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of really useful information in these things. And
Yeah.
today we're only looking at just a couple that touch on points I specifically want to make. There's so much more information out there.
Yes.
So many, like a few places where I can't use the video, like Oprah, for example. The OWN network has a piece from, I think, 7 years ago about an intersex person with some interesting experiences. And there's a lot. And even if I could use it all, we can't cover it all today. So, yeah. But here is a person with a very different kind of story, a bit more of an extreme situation that I also want to spotlight. If it'll play.
I was born with both genitalia. I have both parts from a male and from a female.
Now, to be clear, not every intersex person has that. Like we were just talking about, a person can look externally entirely one or the other and have a mixture of internal parts or the opposite internal parts or whatever the case may be. Again, I don't know what was done to me when I was an infant, but as best I can determine, I had both sets of parts as well. And that includes the internal parts, which is fun.
It's different for everybody who's born intersex. For me personally, I have male chromosomes, but I was born with both genitalia, one testy, one ovary. I identify as a man.
I'm transgender, intersex to male.
I was very sexually active and I wasn't being protective with it. And I kind of just assumed that I couldn't get pregnant. And then just all of a sudden, last year, I was feeling weird and my stomach felt different. It kind of felt like I had a hard avocado inside me. I took a test and it came back positive and I freaked out. I was like, no, that's not possible. Getting pregnant in the first place is rare. Most of the stuff that happened with pregnancies didn't happen, like how your mammary glands are supposed to enlarge and then you're supposed to produce milk. That didn't happen for me. For every intersex person, the pregnancy will be different. For a lot of people,
yeah, because just like our conditions are all unique, the way fertility works is also unique. Some parts function normally and some parts don't.
Right.
And some parts need a little nudge. But that's a different tale for a different day, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, I never got this person's name. It's not mentioned anywhere that I could find. But he had.
I thought it was on the top earlier, but I saw it for a second.
Possibly.
It may not have been. It's fine.
Yeah. But, he believed because he took a test that showed XY chromosomes. And that's an important thing. You can't always detect chimerism from a single test. Like sometimes blood tests will show both sets of chromosomes, but not always. And other tests, tissue sample tests, like a cheek swab, the buccal swab, it'll only show what cells are in that area of the body. If, say, for example, your top half has one set of chromosomes and your bottom half has a different set, we've heard of so many people who were on social assistance of some kind and lost custody of their kids because they didn't pass a parental genetic test because the cheek swab showed different genes than the parentage test for the kids did because their lower half had different chromosomes. That's what I mean about how chimerism, like me, can happen in as much as 10% of the population. Both your halves can be the same sex and you still have chimerism. So it isn't always intersex, but it's one way that it can happen. And so this person, he may have had a test that showed XY chromosomes and still be a chimera, or he could be an XY person who had some cells that just didn't. There's so much potential variation. But of course, if he thought he was just an XY male with a few anatomical anomalies, why would he think he could get pregnant?
Right.
And then he did.
Hold on. A Titan, Uranus, there was a woman whose children got taken away from that.
Multiple women, yes.
Wow.
It's happened several
I go on a
times.
tangent about that in another day. About the system and
It's what I was
CPS and how
referencing when I
big
was
and
talking
how
about
Yeah.
the parental DNA tests, because it's happened in at least 3 cases that I know of. And again, the things we know about are only things that have made the news because someone thinks it'll make them money. There's a whole lot of stuff we never hear about because it's not in our financial interest to take your case.
It's the question of whether or not you want to because of how much struggle it is and how inexperienced people are with intersex individuals being pregnant. There's a lot of people that
That's an important point too. It's not just the pregnancy, but intersex generally, because of the lack of awareness, because of the concept that we're super ultra rare. Like the first speaker says later in her talk, we're not rare. We're not even uncommon. We're just unknown. But because of that perception that we're ultra rare to the point that it doesn't even matter that we exist, doctors don't know how to treat us, not just for pregnancy, but period. They have no fucking idea because for whatever reason, possibly their medical school told them, don't worry about that. That's a super rare case. You don't need to know.
Yeah, and then they
thought
come across one and it's they're fucking up.
I'm trying to understand. Slick and Salacious says, sorry, it's breaking up a lot, trying to keep up. I don't see it breaking up. Does anybody else see any problems in the feed?
No, it might be their connection maybe.
Okay, yeah, I don't see any problems.
I haven't seen anybody mention that.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to make
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I have
I don't see any
the stream
problems on my
open
end.
so I can get to the live chat and shit, but I'm not actually watching it because I'm watching in the studio.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't see any problems because I'm watching on the screen, but I must have got my little phone so I can comment and stuff. And I don't see any problems in those videos either, but I don't know. Okay.
Yar.
that I couldn't identify as a man just because I was pregnant, and a lot of the stigma around it's about how
And that goes to the bioessentialism. Oh, you're pregnant? Well, then you're a woman, period. Even though a month ago I would have told you, oh, you have a penis? You're a man, period. Like, it ends up with these obvious contradictions with reality. Like, here's a person who's both pregnant and has a penis. Naturally, what now? The bigots get very confused.
it's not just women that can get pregnant. At the hospital, it was really great. All my doctors knew me personally. They would use he, him pronouns. I just opted for a C-section. It took me about 14 hours to gain feeling back in my limbs and everything, and then I was able to walk around.
So it's not intersex specific, but a lot of C-sections are done with partial anesthetic, local anesthetic, so forth. I'm not entirely sure why there's a preference for keeping the pregnant person conscious, but still minimizing the pain of the cutting and things. But for whatever reason, as far as I can tell, that's almost universal. I don't know. Maybe so the person can report on
I
things
think
going wrong.
because if you put the pregnant person under general anesthesia, that will also apply to the baby, and there could be like breathing issues.
Could
So
be.
the
Possibly.
epidural just blocks the pain signals from your spine. It doesn't affect like your conscious. I had an epidural. It worked really well. So
I did think about keeping him a lot while I was pregnant to be able to sing to him every night, have a very close relationship with him. But then I kind of realized how selfish that would be for me to take away all these opportunities that somebody else can provide him just because of how I feel. Not just from a financial standpoint, but also from a mental standpoint. I ended up looking
So actually, I'll let him finish before I interrupt.
at people and families for adoption, specifically LGBT families, and I found this really nice couple. Now they have him. He's doing really good.
Okay, so that's not necessarily intersex related either. It's honestly, it's the responsible thing. If you know you can't take care of the baby, don't keep the baby for selfish reasons. Your job as a parent is to make sure they have every opportunity to have a good life. And if that includes giving them to the care of someone who can provide for them in ways that you can't, that's the responsible thing to do. Being intersex is part of that. And that's the thing I really, really want people to understand, is that being intersex, like being trans, like being a minority of any flavor, it doesn't replace the struggles of regular everyday life. You still have those struggles. It just adds additional struggles and makes the existing ones more complicated in interesting ways.
For most of my life, I always felt different. I always felt uncomfortable. I joined an LGBT plus group in my school, and they brought up being transgender, and I actually really related to the feeling of not being in the right body.
I do still identify as trans, but not in the sense that most people think. Like, not female to male, not male to female. It's intersex to male. And I've been told by a lot of...
Now, that's one of the big reasons I wanted to include this video, because
identity.
Even in that video in the beginning, I felt the need to have to justify being trans even though I'm intersex, because there's so much framing that being trans is only changing from what's on your birth certificate to who you actually are. And I mean, that works as far as a quick description for most purposes, but in reality, what's on your birth certificate is an arbitrary legal designation. It's not who you ever actually were, right? And so the fact that my birth certificate has always said female doesn't change the fact that I still have to transition to be a woman, you know? At least in appearances, in expression, in the way my body works, and so on and so forth. I mean, those of you who've been around a really long time remember I had a pretty badass beard a few years ago, and that was the one part of my body I was not super uncomfortable with. I was literally using my beard as a beard to hide my dysphoria and insecurity about the entire rest of my body. I would just say, hey, I have a pretty magnificent beard. And the fact I was assigned female at birth did nothing to mitigate the fact I had an amazing beard. I still have to transition.
Hey, if I don't shave, I have one too. So, but it's so funny, not funny, but when I have 5 children, and when I had my oldest son, now they let you, when I had my younger 2 kids, it was differently. They had me look over the birth certificate. But after me and the father signed the birth certificate, they filled the paperwork out where they put him down as female. So we had to fight to change his name, change his sex gender on his birth certificate, pay money and all that stuff. That's crazy, you know. And we're like, what is? Well, it's like, Well, told me the birth certificate, and I looked up and said, wait, did you see that he gave him down as a female? And his dad was mad. But yeah, we had to go and spend all this money to change it to be correct. So it says amended on there, but what can I do about it, you know? But yeah. And that was him just making a mistake, typographical error.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It
clerical
wasn't the
errors
fact
happen
that,
too.
you know, it
Yeah,
wasn't that it was actual scientific or medical error.
right. And that's an important distinction for people to keep in mind, is that the legal stuff is entirely separate from biology and medical science and all. It is a separate category. And a lot of people get those mixed up. Well, what's it say on your birth certificate? That's the biological reality.
Exactly.
Bitch, my name isn't biological. Like, my name is on my birth certificate, but it didn't, like, I didn't come with a tag when I came out, you know? Like, what do you mean it's biological? It's a legal fucking document that describes things like when and where you were born to which parents. That's it. It's just a record. It's not reality in any sense of the imagination.
It's not dealing with gender, but a lot of males on my side are born with extra digits on their fingers. And that's a whole nother thing. Like they look at them like, oh, it's weird. But after you just, tie it off and they fall off, whatever. But yeah, it's a big thing. And my family looked at me like, why is this weird? But that's just how some of our males are born in my family. There's anything wrong with them or anything like that, but when they see it, whenever my son was born, my sons had him as well, and it was like, something's wrong with your child. No, it's not.
Mm-hmm. That's true for a lot of anomalies. I went to school with a girl who had an extra pinky finger on her hand, and there were no bones in it, so it wasn't actually useful. It just got in her way, so she had that removed.
Yeah.
But whether it worked or not, people still called her a freak.
Exactly.
So she had it removed
So
for
we ended
that
up
reason.
getting his removed immediately soon after birth. But then I didn't know that my dad and my granddad also had it as well.
I have a underdeveloped third nipple.
Freak.
Thanks.
You're helping, Kelly. You're helping. Jesus Christ. I mean, that's pretty cool. I can't remember where I saw it. Again, my brain is mush because I see too many things in too many places. But there was a woman who there's a video, damn it, it's fuzzy. The point is, she bent over and some of the creepy men in the vicinity tried to get a better look at her boobs, and they saw there was another boob, and they started calling her freak and shit. And it turns out that she actually had 4 breasts, like her breasts were doubled vertically.
Oh wow. Okay.
And the 2 lower ones were smaller than the upper ones. So when she was wearing, I don't know exactly how she did it, but when she was wearing whatever bra, it like hid the fact. But when she bent over, the way her boobs pushed her bra down, it made them visible. And so they thought she had 3 boobs and went from being like, ooh, I'm going to sneak a peek at her goodies to, freaky monster. But she actually just had double, and it's like, you'd think men would be all about that, but apparently not.
No kidding. I was just thinking that.
3 is too many, I guess. 4, yeah, definitely freak for them.
Oh my God, native third nipple would be useful if you had triplets.
I mean, honestly, useful for a single because
mine isn't
even with 2,
a
they get worn
third
out.
breast. It's not a third breast. It's just like it's super underdeveloped nipple. We thought it was like a little mole or something at first, but then the doctor was like, "No, it's a third nipple."
Nip does not mean
It's
nip
flat.
Sometimes our bonus parts don't have full function. Alas. Titan says, I knew a guy who had 8 nipples and said it ran in his family. Interesting.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's another one of those, I think the term is aptivism. a throwback to like far
Total
genetic
Recall.
ancestors.
Oh yeah, I do remember that on Total Recall. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that part. Yeah, that black. Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know
Mhm.
that crazy cab driver.
But yeah, we get all kinds of things. Other mammals often have like sets of nipples, 6 or 8 or something like that,
Yeah.
and yeah, that could happen, sure. Um, there's people who've had tails, and sometimes they're just like extra skin in the
Mhm.
place of where you would expect a tail, and often those get removed, so those kids don't get cold freaks. But sometimes they're actually parts of the spine, like an actual tail. And that gets more complicated because while we can and do cut bones off in places to make people look more normal, with the spine, you have
Yes.
spinal cord,
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
That could be
tricky.
damaged.
Yeah. Now,
Although,
that's not to say we
depending,
won't do it. I mean, we crop dogs' tails, we just fuck
Mm.
what it does to them. We want them to look a certain way. Snip, snip.
depending on where you are in the world, if you have a tail, you could be treated as a god.
Oh yeah, like the Indian
Mhm.
Hindu young. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were worshiping him. Yeah, I do remember that because they thought he was some god
Yeah, and he was like
that
just a
was
little typical like
reincarnated or
4-year-old.
something. Yeah.
Although
Interesting.
it's probably better. Well, I don't know what would be better, to be like ostracized for that or treated as a god for that, because that's got to come with its own downsides.
I mean, definitely.
Imagine.
There have been documentaries on the old Chinese emperors and how restrictive it is to live while people think you're a god, because like you
Hmm.
have to eat certain things because only those are worthy of your divine majesty, and there's some dude who comes along and like inspects your poop to make sure you're maximally healthy and shit, and it's so much nonsense. But is that worse nonsense or better nonsense
What
than being an oppressed minority who's actively subject to aggressive hatred in your everyday life?
what was the movie with Brandy, the Cinderella, and then the prince was like, "What do you want to be treated like a queen?" And she was like, "No, I want to be treated with a decency and respect." That's all we want. We don't want worship or being belittled because we're different. Whether it's physical differences or it's mental differences, we want to be treated with respect
I
and to
don't
know
I don't
that
know. I have
we're
such mixed
needed.
thoughts. I feel like the world would be such a better place if we kind of had like a low-key worship for each other, like every other human is sacred. Like we treated human life as if it's fucking sacred the way the religious people say they do.
They
Hmm.
don't. They don't.
That,
Love
that
thy
I think it would
neighbor
be pretty neat.
unless they're
Unless they're trans.
right.
Yeah, they care so much about the children, but do nothing about the gun violence that actually is hurting them. Leading cause of death of children in the United States for the last several years, gun
Yeah.
violence.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. They say they care so much about the women, but they'll do nothing about the rampant SA in women's sports that actually is harming
Hmm.
women. It's just the list of hypocrisy is fucking endless.
I've
It's
had people that the
it's all bullshit.
military that got attacked,
Hmm.
that was
Yeah.
in the military. So yeah, nowhere we're safe. We'll never be safe. Who
Well,
talking
hopefully
about
we can
Jason
make the world
Momoa?
suck a little less.
Who Jason Momoa? Who? What the world? What's going on? I'm reading the comments. Okay, I don't know.
The trans community, that I shouldn't be using that term because I'm not transitioning normally, which doesn't really make any sense because transgender is an umbrella term and I'm still trans.
Right, and it is
Mhm.
valid to be transitioning from intersex to a binary gender. You're not a gender traitor. You're not faking transition, whatever the fuck that means. Like you're trying to live your life in the way that's right for you, which is different from how society seems to think you should be living it based on biological nonsense.
Transitioning.
I feel like most of the harassment and bullying comes from people who don't understand the situation, and I feel like if it was taught in schools more, that there wouldn't be so much discrimination. Just be open-minded, whatever pronouns or preferred name that they choose to use. Just have respect for people and realize that just because something isn't talked about a lot doesn't mean that it's not normal.
Right. Rare does not mean not normal.
Yeah, what is transitioning normally? I don't know either.
What is what now?
No, Aunt Jir said, what is transitioning normally? Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an important point. Like, it just it's so frustrating. Like I said in the beginning, there are medical options, but none of them are requirements. Like, I know trans people who are just fine, that do not want hormones, that do not want surgeries. They just want to be able to wear their clothes and use their name. And that's all they need. And holy shit, if we actually gave a fuck about like this whole thing, oh, the surgeries, and yet all the pearl clutching. That's why I have my pearls today, so I can clutch them. It's bullshit. Just like everything else they say, it's just pretense. Because if they really did want to, there's still countries where in order to get your identity documents updated, you have to have lower surgery. You have to be sterilized, which is incidentally a war crime, mandating that people have to be sterilized in order to receive legal recognition. But never mind. Separate topic. So people who don't need the surgeries to live their lives at an okay level, to achieve normalcy, are forced to have surgeries for legal reasons. Like, we're not the ones pushing that, bestie. We're the ones saying that shouldn't be the case. We're saying if a surgery isn't necessary, then it shouldn't be mandated. Fucking hell.
I really don't see what people can't understand about that. Like, if it doesn't affect you and it has nothing to do with you, why the fuck do you care? Like, let other people live their lives. Just leave them alone.
Well, that's sort of the ultimate hypocrisy in the situation. Like we were discussing earlier, it's not that they care per se, it's that they want to be able to tell everyone else how they have to live. Because I have a magic book and my interpretation of my denomination, of my translation of that particular magic book tells everybody how they have to live. And so you have to do what I say, because only I have the right version of the truth. That's why they care. It's not that they actually give a fuck. It's that it's part of the whole package, the cultural model of supreme authoritarianism based on an invisible friend as a pretext to be the one telling people how they have to live.
I know it's wild to me. Like, what exactly is their expectation? Like, do they expect all trans people, LGBTQ people, all of the minorities that they target to completely suppress who they are, like suppress their identity and just like dress up in whatever outfit they deem correct? What happens with disabled people or with people of color? Like, how are these people going to change who they are to fit their mold?
Well, I mean, okay, not to oversimplify. There's a lot of people who want to pretend trans people don't exist, that intersex people don't exist, so that their child can't be one of those things. If you pretend a thing doesn't, if you pretend there is no cancer, your child can't ever get cancer. Apparently, is the logic. So there's an element of that. I don't want to mischaracterize things as saying it's just religious bigots who have a false religion for the purpose of trying to control other
Oh,
people's lives.
no, I've
That's
seen quite
part of it, but it's not the whole thing. There's also a lot of people who just want, oh, I don't want my child to fall into that, or whatever the case.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
there's other things. There's so many different potential takes on why, but they don't really interrogate their own why. They don't really think it through, because if they did, they would see how harmful it is to the things they actually do care about, or at least think they care about, like the well-being of their children, which is how you end up with LGBT kids being kicked out of their homes and end up being homeless. The most recent survey put it at something like 40% of the homeless population are LGBT youth who are kicked out of their homes. Like,
Yeah, we
the whole
have
point is to protect your child, and you end up hurting your child, then you're fucking doing it wrong.
yeah, the irony is really visible on that one. We have here in Houston, we actually have a program. There's like a center that meets up every night. People bring food items to cook meals for homeless LGBTQ youth specifically. So like, yeah, they're out there, and people like I had somebody the other day say, "Oh no, like a parent would never, you know, shun their child. Like Christians love their children no matter what." And then, but like no, like you
Yeah.
see it, that is not true at all. Like you see it in the homeless rates of
Yeah.
LGBTQ youth specifically.
And I mean, even personally, so I'm somewhere between bi and pansexual because I just don't, gender and sex just don't really come into it for me. But there was, at one point, I was dating a woman, loved her to pieces. We were actually talking about getting married. And my mom had the biggest conniption when she found out about that. And I'm like, she's like, you can't be dating a woman, blah, blah, blah. You have kids. And I'm like, that's not the only way you can do that. And
Right.
it's just like, and the one thing is, like I've said before on here, I'm an only child. So it's like you kind of grow up thinking that the love is unconditional and the love is just by default because you're the only one. But it's just like, and luckily that didn't actually harm our relationship. It very easily could have, and then she finally came to her senses on that. But like, yeah, it's one of those things that you see Christian parents do this all the time. I even told, because of that, and because I didn't want my sons worrying about it, I told them fairly young, when I gave them the bird and the bees talk, I also said, look, if you're gay, if you're trans, if you don't know, if you're questioning any of that, come and tell me. I'm okay with it. And it's better to have me by your side when you're going to have to deal with this stuff. And neither one of my boys are either gay or trans, but my youngest especially has told me, he's like, I'm glad I grew up with that, with knowing that I would be fine with you no matter what. I was like, when you have kids, you need to tell them that, and tell them that you will be okay with it.
Yeah, like, don't have kids if you don't expect to have kids that are different.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very similar to relationships. Like, you have to understand when you enter into a relationship, all the possible outcomes. You might get married, you might break up, you might do any other possible outcome. Like, you can't, I mean, you can get into it without acknowledging that and wind up in a really bad situation because of it. But like, when you get into a relationship, you have to acknowledge the possibility that you could break up. When you have a child, you have to acknowledge the possibility they're going to do something with their life that you don't like. It's so fucking silly. People, overgrown children is how I frequently refer to people. But
Yeah.
speaking of I forget what the hell we were speaking of, but it got me started. I remember I actually have a comparison picture. that shows my beard that I don't completely hate. So, yeah, I'll yeah.
Oh, that's pretty.
Wow.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's from
You still
over
look
a
the
year
same
ago
though.
now.
You-
You can tell.
I
You
was
can tell
just so
that's you.
excited because I'd lost so much weight. I fit into a size 6 dress. And I was fucking thrilled. And so I was like, let's do it before and after.
I have not fit into a size 6 since high school.
And so there's this older man that I follow on Facebook. I forgot his last name, but it's Michael something. He's like a public, has a public profile, and he's like he has his big beard, but then like long hair, and he said he's straight cis male. He identifies as that, and he dresses up in like really sexy like woman's outfit, and he looks fucking amazing. I love it. Like even with the bushy beard, it's like he pulls it off. I love the outfits. Like really cool.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm in a number of trans support groups, because weirdly, I'm one of those people. I've always been like the counselor person, and like helping other people makes me feel better. Whatever. That's probably my own thing, my own nature, I guess. But there's so many trans girls who are like, "What if I never pass? What if I never this? What if I never that? I look like a damn brick," and so on and so forth. And I'm like, "Ma'am, drag queens exist. There are cisgender men who don't ever take HRT, who never do anything to try to transition, who are capable of not only looking good, looking femme, but looking fucking stunning. These are
Yeah.
straight up whole ass men that look amazing. It's possible. You're fine."
Yeah. Like that's the thing, like that's the beauty of it. Like why do certain shapes of clothes have to be for people with specific body parts? Like it doesn't make sense.
Sometimes fit, sometimes comfort, sometimes
Well,
it's more flatter. I mean, there's a lot of so transitioning and changing size very quickly, it makes my wardrobe hard. But things that are cut to fit my body the way it's shaped now, even though they tend to accentuate a more feminine form or whatever, they're more comfortable. They fit better, you know?
We're talking
Yeah.
about drag queens. Mayhem Miller. I love her.
I know.
I don't
Good
know
and
many
fist.
drag queens.
They look
I
good.
know Patagonia because she does, well, he does so much activism in drag as Patagonia. The pronouns get complicated when you're referring to a drag person, whether they're in their drag persona or not. But he also does shit, I forget his real name. I've got him on my Facebook and I follow his TikTok, but I can't remember his real name. But he does like satirical makeup videos, like how to do makeup like a conservative woman, and he just like we're gonna do it like a conservative woman, like a man, and he does the whole thing, but he's still
Yeah,
got
the country
big old
drag
mustache.
guy. Is
A
it
what?
the country drag guy?
I'm-
He has a mustache.
he does have a mustache. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd call him country.
No, that's what he calls it. He calls it country drag.
Oh, okay.
His shorts are on YouTube. And I'll be straight up honest, that dude can do makeup better than I can. Like simple. Like I can't go to that level on my makeup. Never been able
Yeah,
to.
I relate. I actually, so for the last few weeks, partly because of dealing with ear infections and partly because of time availability and whatever, I've been doing less and less makeup. Some shows this past week, I haven't done any makeup at all. Like yesterday when we had to get out of the air an hour early. I mean, we didn't have to. I could have just waited, but whatever. The fact I can get away with no makeup now is a huge fucking big giant win. But I have been slacking on my makeup skills because part of it is building the confidence of knowing I look okay without it. It's okay to look like I look, you know? But today I wanted to live up to the cover image and be like as in your face, as attractive as I could make myself, at least in the morning. And it was a bit of a trial because people kept randomly knocking on the fucking door in the middle of the day. Who does that? Whatever. But I did what I could, and you know my skills are limited because even though I practiced every single day for over a year, I don't really have a teacher, so I'm just like experimenting with things and seeing what works. And I fucked up today's makeup a couple of times. I used the good eyeliner. The very best eyeliner I have is this powder stuff that you do on a stick, but it looks so good. But I put too much of it on the inside of my eyes, so when I went over my eyes with I used blush as eyeshadow, so it would match with my it's not important. Anyway, the dust got everywhere, and I had to like makeup remover where the dust went, and I'm like, ah.
Oh no.
So we could practice helps, but also being taught helps, you know?
Yeah, I had to watch a lot of YouTube videos because I didn't have anybody teach me. So I suck at putting on my makeup.
Yeah.
I still do it.
The one thing that actually taught me is after I was an adult, is I was actually really heavy into the goth scene. So I got really good at doing like black and white and dark and all that. Now I try to do like colorful eyes and stuff. Can't do that, but I can definitely do eyeliner and I can do
I
makeup.
cannot do
That's about it.
eyeliner.
I think
Yeah, I
eyeliner's
just-
all I'm wearing right now.
And then one eye always look different than the other eye because I don't have the control. So I'll be like, oh, this eye looks so good. And I try to put the eyeshadow on the other one. And it never turns out the same way. Then I got to fix the other one to look the same. I'd be like, but whatever.
Sometimes I do that intentionally, partly because I know I'm not going to be able to get it identical from side to side. So like,
I'd be like, they be cutting the creases and stuff. They be cutting the creases and stuff, trying to cut the crease. And one eye, I get, okay, this looks okay. I don't get it. Whatever, you know. It's confusing.
I gave my Facebook avatar because, you know, I'll use my VR headset to exercise sometimes. And when I put the headset on, you go into like your waiting room where you select your programs and shit, and there's a mirror. And since I have to see myself in the mirror, I made a fucking avatar. So my avatar has like a rainbow eyeliner thing, except it only goes up on one side. On the other side, it goes down. So it looks like the rainbow just kind of curves across the eye region. And that's kind of goals. Like one day I want to pull that off. One day.
Someday.
Yeah. It'll be fun. But I do tangents upon tangents. People come here for the tangents, which is now available as a shirt if you missed the beginning of the show. First of all, go back and watch the beginning of the show. You can watch it after. But like there's a 5-minute video at the very beginning that is the most important part of this show. That's why it's at the very beginning. Make sure you go see it. But also, if you missed the intro of the show, I have heeded your peer pressure and I have opened a fucking merch store. There's only 2 things on it, the things y'all specifically requested, but the I'm just here for the tangents thing is on there. And I made it as cheap as they'd let me. So
I will be getting one. I'm also going to be bringing out some Atheist Queen merch, a few things as well that I've been working on for a minute. But I will be buying a tangent shirt. That will be one of my explosions I will do. Support. If we can't support each other, then what can we do?
People can is very, very, very much appreciated. You know, I've got the link to my medical fundraiser, which is it's so frustrating because, you know, we live in a world where people who do hateful things get wealth heaped upon them instantly. Like the woman who made racist slurs against a child and became a millionaire within 48 hours. Or
you should direct to good news tonight.
The widow of the hateful monster who, granted, she did lose her spouse last week, but she's already worth $12 million.
Exactly.
And
like
got
fundraiser
millions overnight.
And she said, we're going to continue with his work. That means you should shut up then, huh?
Yeah, I don't think she's gonna. But the point is,
But
like,
I'm saying if she was to honor her
fundraisers
word,
get
then she
filled
should
up
shut up.
instantly, and I'm out here like with my hat in my hand for months trying to put a drop in the fucking bucket. And I do appreciate everybody who has contributed, but it's frustrating living in a world where doing evil gets you rich instantly when you're trying to be not only a good person, but a person who helps society be better. And your needs are fairly minor in the great scheme of things, and it just dies. It's
Why are we sadly? I'm not shocked though, because you have to understand. I am Gen X, and my family, my parents are baby boomers who were the ones that were children during civil rights, which means that their parents were the ones that were active trying to. So they're sitting there with teaching their family these things that were taken away, and just wait until it's time, and one day you're going to be able to come up and to voice your opinion again, and that's what they're doing now. So it doesn't surprise me any. This is what he was taught from his parents, grandparents as well.
Yeah.
And this is what they've been thinking. They haven't changed their opinions. I
yeah,
really feel that we got our civil rights because they were tired of us marching, tired of us talking. Let's just give them that to shut them up. So now we can take it away. Now we got somebody in office, we can just take everything away and make it the way that we want to make it. But the sad thing is that many people who don't know are getting affected and didn't think they were going to get affected by it.
Yeah.
it does affect everybody. Yeah, I mean,
It
there's
does.
people running around. I'm thinking of like Helen Joyce, who is running around saying, "Oh, I'm fighting for women's rights," while the entailments of the things she's supporting hurt women's rights actively and aggressively. It's like you don't even have to think about it hard. It's like the step 2 logical entailment. It's dumbassery, it's bullshit, it's hypocrisy, it's all of the above, probably. But
I don't
speaking
know.
of bigots, see how I did that there? I built a bridge to segue, and jokes are always funnier when you explain them. Bree says, Ember, you should redirect to good news tonight. Good news is happening on the transpositions at the normal time. We're still working out details for the live show, but good news is still going up at the normal time. So I did put in a redirect thing. That won't be until 8 p.m. So the stream will take you over, but there's no show there yet. Click the notify me button. And while you're there, remember to subscribe, but click the notify me button and then come back at 8 p.m.
Okay.
because you're not going to want to miss this good news. I promise you will enjoy.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Yes. I'm usually working at that time, but I try to watch the stream in between doing my job. I'll do a little comments or something if I can.
Yeah, it should be neat. Now, members have already gotten a sneak preview of one of the things, the main thing that I'm teasing about, but I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, that's one of the pluses members get is they get early access to all the things I do. I don't always put up like whole episodes of good news, but there's this one standalone section you'll see tonight. But members have already seen it. So I'm just like managing expectations. If somebody's a member here and they go and they're like, yeah, I've already seen this. What do you mean? Like, yeah, of course you did, because you're a member. But members also already know, because we talked about it in the member stream last night. I showed off the store, which again, go to betterthanember.com. All my links, including other channels. No, this is the wrong page, Ember. What are you doing? We're on main page. All my links. It's a link tree. All the places I do stuff, all the other shows I do, and ways you can support. Not just being a member here on YouTube. There's other options. So that's there for you. But now on the website, all the way over here on the right, store, and it'll open up the store. It's super basic, but we do have. I'm just here for the tangents. I finally decided to make it tan for the jokes. But that's available as a sticker and shirt.
I like it.
It's only $13, but it's a shirt. The shirt is
That's not
purple.
bad
There's
price at all.
also hoodies. The
No, that's
hoodies
not
are
bad at all.
more, but you can get them in a bunch of different colors.
Okay.
And then the "You Are Better Than Religion" thing is also a sticker.
I want that in a shirt too. For me, I don't. Can I get that changed over?
I can add it to a shirt. It's not really that hard. And also, I kind of like the store because it shows my YouTube stuff too, since it's linked to the account. I mean,
Nice.
I don't know. It's probably silly, but John says, I heard girly access. I mean, that's true. That's true. If you remember, you get girly access for
Girly
my
access,
pre-recorded
All
video.
girls all the time.
That sounds more interesting than early access.
I know, I know, I know.
Yeah.
Girl on girl action.
That has some interesting connotations to it, I suppose. Oh, goodness.
Oh no.
Gotta be a member to do that though. See that girl on girl. Be a member. Turn at 99 cents a month.
Well, okay, so there's different membership levels. The 99 cents a month gets you access to the emojis, which if all you want is the emojis, that's the level for you. And I appreciate people supporting at a level that I myself am very poor. I've had to pause every single paid membership on YouTube because I have no fucking money. But for 99 cents a month, you get all the cool emojis. There's a few. They're voted on by the members, and we have a bunch of them. And do enjoy. If that's all you want, that's the level for you. The next level up includes the early access, a shit ton of exclusive members-only content built up over years of doing this YouTube channel, as well as access to the membership streams, which I do at least once a month. I would like to do them more. I'm working on it. There's a lot going on in my life. Don't judge me, but at least once a month, and other things. And then there's the top level supporters. In addition to all the other stuff, they also get behind the scenes photos when I can, again, doing my best, and a shout out in the closing credits of the videos. That's the list of names I read at the end of the shows. Because in August, we finally had enough supporters, I could do one of those. And so I do the patrons of any level, because Patreon gives me more of your money than YouTube does. YouTube takes 35%, something like that. So like a $2 patron on YouTube is the same as a $5 patron here. Almost. In any case, the patrons and those top level members, because that's a perk I can offer in addition at the top level. If y'all have ideas for better perks,
join Patreon then.
do let me know, because I mean, I very much appreciate the top level supporters, and I understand that people who want to support what I'm doing here don't necessarily care about getting something for it, but I would like to do more,
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
all right, enough with the plugging things. Yeah, I just, because the tangents kept coming up and we kept going on tangents, I'm like, I showed the members the store in the members only stream last night. I should just show it here, because tangents.
Can I plug one thing real quick?
Yeah.
No, it's like I'm saying.
I told Ryan I would do this. Dr. Kip's book, go buy it. It's fantastic. It's called God's
Hold on.
Propaganda.
Let me find the button to make you big.
Make it big.
Big book.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's pretty big. And it's
Does he have
fantastic.
audibles? Because I read that when I'm at work.
Yeah, he's coming out with Audible fairly soon. Also, I found the other Dr. Kip stick.
The stick. I was dropping
this
that
is
link
the one
in,
from
in
yesterday.
Damn chat, because Dr. Kip was on the Daily Atheist Morning Show earlier, and so I kept
He
dropping
laughed
the
so
link
hard.
to the clip Aunt Jer made from yesterday's show. And if
I
you didn't
feel
watch yesterday's
slighted.
show, what the hell? Go back and watch yesterday's show. It was fucking hilarious. We are delightful, which is why you should subscribe. I mean, I understand if timing doesn't work out and you can't catch the show live. We would love to see you live. We'd love to see you in the live chat. But if you can't, I understand. But you should definitely subscribe and watch the show after the fact, because we are fucking delightful.
I feel slighted. I only got an hour on this show, and Kip got 2.
Oh, you were on the damn show?
Yes.
I see.
Yes,
wow.
Not all of us
it
have
was
ever
right
been.
before NailCon I was on, yes. But I feel some kind of way. I only got an hour and Kip got 2.
Keep it special, I guess.
That means I'm not.
You are more special, but
I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I understand why you got 2 hours.
In fairness, you've gotten a lot more time on this channel than Kip has.
That's because I just make myself.
fair.
I just make myself be known on this show. You can come if you want to, and I'm gonna come then. I just make my way. Get out my way. I'm on the team today.
Yeah. Well, that's what we do here. Is we're spotlighting diverse voices. As I often say, I try to be correct about things, but I understand the fact that I can be wrong. I value diverse perspectives. I want there to be a spotlight on women creators,
Yes.
but also when I'm wrong, I want to know it so I can stop being wrong.
Right.
I can't wait until the show I will name Nameless can start again. But I won't say that name because I don't want to jinx anything.
Okay.
That the show that we're supposed to be a part of. Hopefully that can go on this week,
Yeah,
coming up week. But I won't say anything
we're
about that
we're
show.
still working on that. I have faith. I'm trying to
You're
manage
not
my
supposed to say
expectations
that.
about when.
Yeah. Whenever I'm up, it's up to everybody else. I am open. If it's during the day before I have to go to work, then I'm down for it. What daytime? As long as I'm not at work, then I'm good.
Hell yeah. I mean, in a way, even whatever happens in the future, what has happened in the past made a difference because not
Yes.
only was it fun, not only did it feature a bunch of voices that need to be featured, but it also kind of paved the way for this.
Yes.
And this is pretty great. It's not quite what I had in mind for the other show, but it's a thing that I can do, that I can make sure happens and make sure there is a place where all these creators can come and be fucking heard and be delightful at the same time.
Exactly.
So yeah, but many
Diversity.
of these creators do have their own channels. For example, AJ has Ways to Human.
Great channel.
What do you do on Ways to Human, AJ?
All kinds of stuff. I was actually just talking to someone about scheduling some episodes coming up. So I'm gonna have quite a few live shows coming up. The first one's gonna be Steve Gickadis on October 9th, and we're gonna talk about interfaith relationships, like navigating relationships with people who are either of 2 different religions or no religion and one is religious and so on and so forth. Then misinterpretations is going to be on my show. She was supposed to be on this Friday, but we moved it because she's going to the RFR what is it, excursion, I think. Okay, anyway.
Oh, the retreat thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Of
that's
the
going to be so fun for her. I'm not making it, but I wish I was. But anyways, we're gonna talk about how easy it is to fool the brain, and we're gonna do like a few live demos, trying to see if we can trick her into her brain not being correct. And then Felicia is gonna be on. I don't know if you guys know her. I didn't know her channel until like super recently when she was on Free Thinker Fireside. I think we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. I don't know exactly. We were like, hey, let's talk about anything: science, technology, ADHD, whatever comes up. And then in November, I'm gonna have Richard Gilliver, and we're gonna talk about philosophy. So that's what I have coming up. Oh wait! I know I have one more. Wait, what is it? Sometime in October. All right, a Sunday in October. I need to check my calendar, but I'm gonna be back on Maya Atkinson's Bad Science Sunday. There you go.
Nice.
great
Oh, yeah.
shows. I'm going to be tuning in.
We do love the BSS here. That's one of the things I do is the pre-show, you might say. In the same way Chris does the pre-show for this show. Because that's how that works. Kelly, you do a bunch of things. You have to have a link tree to keep it all straight. What do you got going on?
Well, this Saturday, Black Non-Believers podcast In the Cut will be having an episode. Saturday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's where we interview prominent Black individuals in the atheist skeptic community. I am trying to work on maybe starting doing a few videos on my channel. So, any suggestions of what you would like to see? I don't want to have the same things, but I think if I have it open, have people following me, I might as well start doing something on there to keep it active, whatever. Uh, I mostly post like TikToks and Facebook and things like that. But this Sunday, I am having my Black Non-Believers event that will be in Ferndale, Michigan. And that's our brunch event that I have usually once a month. So if you're in the Detroit area, could stop on by and say hi.
Hell yeah.
Information is a meetup. So in case y'all know. So if you go on our meetup, Black Non-Believers, being a Metro Detroit meetup, it will be there. So you can find out more about the event. And I think I need to probably put it in my link tree. So it'll probably help people easier to get to it.
It wouldn't hurt.
You got everything else in there. Might as well add that too.
Yeah. And Lilith, you're doing things. What are you doing?
Yes, I am. I have a channel that the name will be changed, or the tag will be changed tomorrow to Lil of All Trades. I was supposed to get the first episode up Monday, and then I realized I have no audio for like half my footage. So I'm going to have to fix that, and but it should be up this weekend. And you can also find me on Blue Sky. I'm not super active, but I will be coming up. And I'm also on Discord. You can find me, I think it's at Stardust Lilith. It's not hard to find me.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we're in a bunch of servers together. So everybody's doing stuff, including yours truly. I just wanted to give you all the close up because I actually
your makeup is
into
wonderful.
my appearance today. So like those of you who stuck around, I'm fabulous.
Yes, your makeup is laid. It's laid today. That close up, I can finally see it now. And you got your hot red outfit on. You're looking good.
I went so back and forth on what to do with hats, but I'm like, I never wear this hat. It was one of the things that came from my birthday, and I'm like, because it's black and I'm up against the void here, it's not easy to see. But I'm like, you know what? I'm doing the hat today. We're doing it.
But
I'm inspired
the
by Bree
flowers.
from Hype who's been rocking a cowboy hat sometimes. It's not really a cowboy hat, but details. Anyway, we have stuff coming up here. Once again, this stream will redirect you over to Good News on Transpositions, which isn't till later tonight. So make sure you click the notify me button before you go wander off to do other things. And we do have more coming up here on this channel. Tomorrow, we're doing Feminist Friday. Alan Parr is going to tell us how we're allowed to dress. Saturday evening is the debate review. Bree should be joining us for that. Mark, of course, will be over. That should be really neat. It's Potholer 54, whom you may know from the Golden Crocoduck Awards, among his other work. Sunday, we're doing the evening show, the Bad Science Sunday pre-show. Still tentative, but for right now, we're planning on talking about Wiccans and pagans and things for the equinox. And then Monday, we're back at the morning show again. Oops, I went too far. Polyamory people. Tuesday, purity culture from a purity person. Wednesday, dating the godly way. Thursday, Trent Horn is going to tell us how his holy book refutes actual science when it comes to abortion rights. What could possibly go wrong? And then
Nothing at
Friday,
all.
we're talking about biblical feminism, and there may be more stuff added. I'm in talks with a couple of people about doing additional stuff, possibly on Saturday, because the debate review will be over at Mark's that week, so I don't have something on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed here, ring the bell, and join us for all the cool stuff still to come. Before we go, I always want to make a point to read the super chats again, because that's how I afford food. So I very much appreciate it. We got 2 today. One from My Unfinished Song for 222, who says, "Hail Ember, Detroit Atheist Queen. AJ, Lilith, and Intersex Superpowers. Hell yeah, thank you very much. And $2 from My Unfinished Sock, who says, don't be blind to privilege, like the shit, like, damn it, Ember. First of all, I missed this one earlier, so my apologies. I get a little distracted sometimes, but that's why I read them at the end, to make sure they get covered. My Unfinished Sock, $2. Don't be blind to privilege, like and share instead. And yes, like and share. Use the share button, folks. Use the share button. It is the most underutilized button in the YouTubes, and it makes arguably the most difference. So take this video, this important video. Yes, we get into tangents and shit later on, but the intro especially is important. And send it to people who need to see it. And send it to people who will hate to see it, because those are the people who need some fucking facts the most. Thank you all so much for watching. It's why we do lives. I very much appreciate you being here. And as always, we will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Thanks to the top level members and Patreon supporters for August: Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkisson, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Kalasia, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, The Mighty Filbert, Hunter Biden's Laptops, Larkwright, Greg S., Neurogeezer, Mage Greywolf, Faran Salas, Poor Claire, BTF Wayne, Cosmic Kyle, Bomb Poppy, RDZ, Billy Bongsalot, Marty Cameo, My Unfinished Sock, Austin Sims, Tinker Phil, Anarchic Fox, Sabrina Page, Leslie Hutchings, Gazela Mail, Evil Toe, Right-Handed Sith, Luke, D. Murphy, Jesse, Uncle Charlie, Ryan Cultastic, Karisu Yamato, Scott Duke, Michael Bell, Sumami, Citizen 9, S. Cook, James Nordoff, Hecklek, Velvet, KCA Randy, B.S. Lewis, Tori Swansiger, Whimsy, Kristen Slays, Godless Engineer, Fern Lovebond, Hillhugger, Karen Butcher, Milwaukee Atheists, Booba Sweat, Maya Adkisson, My Unfinished Studio, Ian Chen Official, Introvert Ancom, Tilting Windmill, Christopher Tablante, Robin Webster, Proby666, Jason T, Action Squad, Robert Madewell, Doc Don Hogg, Jester, Sydney Raptor, Stardust Lilith, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Jake, insert clever dapper inside joke here, Nelson, Supercritical Snake, Eli Slack, Geo Sam, Kalasia789, L Trucker, You Are Victoria, Polly Has His Cracker, Roman Weber, Leo Filius, Nikki Pare, Jasper, Yahooligan, and Pinworm. Thank you all so much. I feel energized and grateful that you're part of this community. Thank you.
Just like a spark